Goeiedag, kia ora, my name is Wildcard. Thank you for being here and watching my content, and as always, it is my pleasure and the absolute privilege to watch rugby, and every now and then, I get thoroughly entertained by the game that I witness, and this match has delivered everything I was looking for out of a test match between the All Blacks and the Springboks. This match was absolutely rattleizing. It was absolutely spectacious. It was unbelievably bumptious. It's just the perfect test match going into the Rugby World Cup. The All Blacks took an early lead this game, looking just like superhumans. Like I was just like, this team is gonna just win the Rugby World Cup with ease, based on the performance from the All Blacks in the first 20 minutes or so. And then everything was looking bad for the Springboks, and the bomb squad came onto the field. This really showed the genius of Rassie Erasmus and his team. It's just the timing between in the second half when they bring on their fresh legs, and whilst the opposition is still tired with the lingering props that has played for the first 45 minutes or so at this point, just that perfect timing to come off the bench and immediately strikes and gets points on the board was just really strategy at its finest, right? And the overall, the All Blacks did have these periods where they just looked really lacked a little bit of creativity. And I think that's something that, Ian Foster, if they can work on that a little bit, maybe Demi McKenzie coming off the bench would really make a big difference to the All Blacks team, I feel like. And the Springboks, on the other hand, clearly, that's something that the All Blacks can probably take from the Springboks bomb score strategy, but instead of having forwards, you have more creativity backs coming off the bench. I think that's something maybe Sir Foster can consider. But hey, who am I to say, right? But in the end, the All Blacks did walk away with the win, and that's all that matters to Ian Foster, I guess. Now let's look at some of the key matchups of this test match. First up, the scrummaging. Going into this match, this was something that I look forward to the most. The scrummaging, both teams has really strong scrummaging. Obviously, the South Africans pride on their scrummaging. Relying on their scrummaging, relying on that set piece again and again to pressure their advantage. To get a lot of their wins comes at the back end of their solid, absolutely world-class scrummaging and the world-class set piece. Whereas the All Blacks really developed a lot since they brought in Jason Ryan last year from the Crusaders. And I saw significant improvements in their scrummaging as well, in their line-out set piece. Just the overall, I guess, the overall technique of the All Blacks has in their four-pack really went back, to the fundamentals a lot more. And this matchup was just, it was unbelievable how just especially the first few scrums, I was genuinely worried that somebody might just get injured. Just the pressure that was on both sides. Franz Maherbe was extremely tight up against his hooker Bungin Bunabi, and that really put a lot of made it really difficult for even the group in the first half, I thought. And then in the second half, when Tamati Williams came on and really put that left hand side in the of the scrum for the All Blacks, Tamati Williams, the big giant prop from the Crusaders, making his debut, and really put a bit of work into the Springbok scrum in the second half. Late in the second half, I thought that was really impressive as well from the All Blacks perspective. And then obviously the battle of the kicking game. I'm really surprised that the All Blacks actually did more kicking game than the Springboks. At first, I thought this was really clever by the All Blacks, because the Springboks has this style where they like to do the high balls and pressure. And then if the All Blacks comes out and just shows that that's the game they want to play, kind of puts the Springboks in a bit of weird situation, because do the Springboks really want to play try to put out fire with fire themselves? So the Springboks actually was more tamed on their kicking game than the All Blacks. The All Blacks were just putting high balls up all the time. And I know this. I can just hear Ian Foster, talking to his team, talking to his players about contestable kicks. So every kick is contestable out of this test match. And sometimes it was just it was getting a little bit too ridiculous. too contestable at times for the All Blacks. Like there was periods where they do a kick high ball, right? Yes, they get the ball back, and then they basically slap the ball back to their own teammates. The ball bounces on the ground, rolls to whoever picks the ball up. They're back to exactly where they kicked it, right? What's the point? You contested the kick, right? You put a kick up that went like 10 meters, and then only to slap the ball back and come back 10 meters to where you kicked it just before. What's the point of the kick? I left myself wondering again and again and again this test match with the All Blacks kicking strategy, to be really, really frank with you. And that's the point where I really, 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 really wished that Damian McKenzie wasn't on the bench. He could come on and just, take on the ball and find some gaps, use a bit of footwork and create some opportunities for his teammates. Even that counter-attacking from inside their own half is something that Damian McKenzie is more than capable of exploiting against any level of international test teams. And that's something that I thought a bit regrettable. And also just the fact that the All Blacks always did the same contestable kicks, right? There was no variety in the kicking game. I saw it was really, really predictable. And then early in the game, he was kind of working it. Was actually working with Will Jordan contesting these kicks with a lot of ferocity, and he was really dominant in the air. Like like everybody kind of expecting. Like I told you, he's incredibly good in the air. But as the game carried on, the kicks become more and more erratic, and then the pressure from the follow up is just starting to just wasn't there anymore after the halftime period especially. And and just even just switch things up, trying for the 50-22. I don't think the All Blacks tried a single 50-22 this game. It would even trying the 50-22, and it's just really not there at all. The kicking game for the Springboks, I thought Faf de Klerk, I thought did he was making those quick decisions in the first half when they're under the pressure was really, really good. It's something that I noticed that Faf likes to do. As soon as the ball gets turned over for the Springboks, he likes to kick the ball down the field, try to get territory whilst the defense is not set up to receive the kick. He did that, I thought, quite well early in the first half to diffuse a lot of the issues. But I thought Willie le Roux's long range kicks were really, really good as well, finding those spaces. But I did feel like overall, the All Blacks, just the fact that how relentlessly the All Blacks was pursuing their kicking game, you kind of put the Springboks in a position where, okay, let's just run the ball. And it's surprisingly, the Springboks do have more run meters this game than the All Blacks, something that you don't expect, and then fewer kicking from hand as well. So we'll have a look at the stats in a bit to see that. For the Springboks, I saw the Cheslin Kobe for the first time ever actually flying. Yeah, I actually saw him flying this game because I don't know about you guys, because he was actually he flew like 10 meters to score a try. Okay, maybe 15 meters. It was like, I have never seen this before. Let me know if you've seen someone fly 10 meters to score a try, because that was insane. So that's something that I've never seen before. Cheslin Kobe flying. And then finally, obviously, we're going to talk about the greatest Springbok in the history of the Springboks, Damian Willemse. A little bit off. Really, a few missed tackles, firstly. And secondly, he did look a little bit lost at times, not knowing what he wanted to do. And you almost probably look better to have Willie le Roux running the attack for the Springboks at times. And and I feel like maybe Erasmus should have brought on Manny Lebok a little bit earlier, considering how poorly the first half was going for the Springboks, especially if the team has decided to not pursue the kicking strategy and pursue the traditional attacking style, having someone more creative out there, willing to make those decisions to throw the dice, like Manny Lebok would have been a better option. I do think that Damian Willemse was very, very flat this evening. So yes, let's have a look at some of the interesting stats that we already alluded to. Actually, Springboks don't have more run meters. That's interesting. At halftime, I think Springboks have more run meters. No, actually not. So yeah, anyway, run meters, the All Blacks 337, Springboks 321. Turnovers conceded, 10 against the All Blacks, 14 against the Springboks. At halftime, both teams are considered 6 turnovers at halftime apiece. So the Springboks has done a lot worse in the second half in terms of conceding those turnovers. Tackles made 127 for the All Blacks, 151 for the Springboks. 21 missed tackles for the All Blacks, 28 missed tackles for the Springboks. That is really bad for the Springboks. Normally, the Springboks would be looking at, less than 20 missed tackles, maybe around the 10 mark. So 28 is really, really high for the Springboks in their defense. Something that kind of has been going a bit of downhill in recent times for the Springboks. That's quite a worrying sign going into the Rugby World Cup. At halftime, the All Blacks had to make 81 tackles, Springboks 76 tackles, and the All Blacks missed 11 and Springboks missed 19 just by the halftime mark already. So this is something that I was really surprised about, the kicks in play stats. The All Blacks came out relentlessly with their kicking game. It was getting really, it was annoyingly stupid at times, just those high balls not getting anywhere. 17 kicks for the All Blacks already at halftime. The Springboks only had 7 kicks at halftime. By full time, the All Blacks kicked 28 times from hand, and then the Springboks only kicked 14. The penalty goal and conversions had been an issue for was also a worrying thing going into this test match, with them in Valimsa having a pretty low kicking percentage, so they have opted for Cheslin Kobe to kick those conversions from the sideline, and when he's in front, they had Faf de Klerk to kick penalties. Faf de Klerk kicked the penalties. Cheslin Kobe missed one from the sideline. I think it wasn't too bad of an attempt, to be honest. He hit the post, and then the last goal that conversion that they missed, he took a quick drop goal and him right in front, and he smacked it onto the goalpost again. The same goalpost he hit twice in the evening. That was quite an impressive feat, actually. The final stats I want to kind of look at, scrummaging, they didn't say much. The loss, both teams were penalized a little bit. I thought there was a few really close 50-50 calls. I did feel like the Springbok scrummaging was a little bit better, but the referee did give a few 50-50 calls that kind of let the New Zealand off the hook a little bit there for their behalf. Penalty count, the Springboks had 3 penalties last week against the Wallabies, ballooned to 12 penalties, and under pressure, the breakdown, the penalty was if there was no pressure from your opposition, obviously it's really difficult to get to give away. It's not give away penalties, and when you're under pressure, it's a different story. So 12 penalties for the Springboks, still not bad. 12 penalties is still really, it's not it's pretty within the range of acceptable for test match. The All Blacks under 10-8, which is much better. It's something that you want to aim for under 10 in test matches, and the All Blacks did just that this week, and really spectacular performance there for the All Blacks. So let's go through some of the point summaries, go through some of the key moments in the game. So early in the game, 4 minutes into the game, Will Jordan, someone that we all talked about in the pre-match, he is a superhuman. Honestly, he does things that just looks so easy, and it's just mind-blowing. And this first try was just the perfect example of that. He gets tackled on the sideline, essentially. He made a little bit of found himself a bit of a space on the sideline. Vili LaRue tackles him. He just puts the ball down, gets up, picks up the ball, and runs again. Okay? And the entire Springboks backline seems to be off guard by this. Was just wait, he can't do that. And then Dimian Dialendi was just completely was not sure what was happening. I think he got confused or something and left a huge gap center field. So Will Jordan just picks the ball up, and there's 3 or 4 Springboks players right in front of him, just run straight through this gap. Nobody touched him. He just went, whoop, see you guys. I still got the ball. Yes. And then he just runs straight through them. And then he links up with Aaron Smith. I think it was Aaron Smith. Yeah, Aaron Smith on his inside. Goes in for the first try for the All Blacks 4 minutes into the game. A few minutes later, the All Blacks gets a penalty inside the South African half. And then they're happy to take the 3 points to keep the sport ticking. So 10 minutes into the game, the All Blacks was already leading 10 points to 0. 11 minutes into the game, this was the first scrum of the match. And the All Blacks actually gets the call in this one. I thought this was a 50-50 goal. It looked like Frans Malherbe has made Ethan de Groot pancake. That's what it looked like. A very obvious pancake to me. But apparently the referee says that on the far side, on the touch judge side, where the camera can't see, the Steven Kitsy, put his knee to the ground first. So that was the penalty to the All Blacks. So I thought, wow, that was really, really close because Ethan de Groot was in a big trouble with Franz Maherbe in the loose hair side of the scrum, or the Springbok tight hair side of the scrum. So again, there was a lot of high ball where Will Jordan was contesting under it, and it was doing really, really well, trying to pressure in those high balls. And then finally, 14 minutes into the game, once again, Will Jordan, he gets the ball. The All Blacks was putting some pressure on. It was kind of like everyone was a bit flat-footed. Will Jordan gets the ball, and he spots a little gap by the rocks, just wiggled himself through, and then just so easy, so effortlessly, as he's getting through the gap, pops the ball over the top to Cody Taylor on the wing. Cody Taylor draws and pass to the ball to Shannon Frizzell. Shannon Frizzell. He runs down the sideline. Cheslin Kobe and Faf de Klerk, both of them combined weight doesn't even match. Was only like, doesn't really match. Wasn't really enough to match for Shannon Frizzell's body weight. It was still like both of them got just like shuffled off at the same time. Like, literally children got swiped off. Just like, he was so much bigger than them, just like swiped them off like little kids. And then Frizzell runs up to, I think it was Willie LaRue right at the end, trying to make a tackle. And he just trampled him over like Mike Catt from England. He just like trampled him over, puts the ball down. Man, that was impressive. Like Shannon Frizzell gets in for the All Blacks. 14 minutes in, All Blacks leading 17 points to 0. Yeah, it was looking quite desperate for the Springboks early on. So there was a little bit of a interesting play here by the All Blacks as well. Beauden Barrett was able to put himself up into the back line as a second playmaker, something that they wanted Jordie Barrett to do a lot, but Jordie Barrett wasn't able to do so. Now that Jordie Barrett is at inside center, so Beauden has been doing that, and he's been doing that quite well. He's doing a lot of the kicking game as well, finding spaces, whenever he's getting the opportunity to. So that was looking quite dangerous. But because of that, I guess how comfortable it is, the All Blacks are finding themselves with this sort of like kicking game. It was slowly but surely getting a bit too ridiculous. Some of these crossfield kicks, there was one point where Jordie Barrett got the ball, and I think it was Will Jordan on the wing. He could easily just passed it. Like, there was one guy in between them. He could have just thrown a card-out pass, but instead he kicked it. Like, it was completely unnecessary. He kicks the ball to him instead of just passing it. I mean, I thought I was just a bit too getting a bit too ridiculous there at times. Also the breakdown was very heavily contested at this point in for both teams. Both teams were just swarming at the breakdowns, throwing the bodies in, trying to get the ball back for both. The All Blacks did look a little bit more energetic than the South Africans and look a little bit more faster as well in their decision making. So yeah, the South Africans look a little bit shock early in this match. 15 minutes into the game, the Springboks had a 5-meter line out. They had a 5-meter penalty going for a line out, and this was diffused by the All Blacks. There was 25 minutes into the game. 25 minutes into the game, the Springboks was putting some bit more pressure on, and it was just looking like not going anywhere. Just one pass crash ball, and then the ball gets there was a massive hit. I think it was on one of the there was a massive hit between two forwards, and the ball pops loose. Faf de Klerk picks the ball up, quickly crossfield kick. He saw this quickly crossfield kick. This was really brilliant by the Faf de Klerk, by the way. Something that I guess Damian Valenza don't have. Yeah, this is probably shows that Damian Valenza is not really experienced enough as a 10. For Faf de Klerk to see that and make the decision to make the crossfield kick instead of Damian Valenza, this does show a bit more work needs to require for Valenza. So Faf de Klerk crossfield kicks, and then Beauden Barrett jumps up, Cheslin Kobe challenging it, and then Barrett drops the ball as he's coming down, and it looked like Cheslin Kobe grounded the ball, but he also missed the ball on the grounding and touched the ball, and the referee deemed that it was a double knock on essentially, and then it was taken back by Beauden, goal line dropout, and this was the best kick from the All Blacks out of the whole game. Jordie Barrett, goal line dropout, punting the ball 60 meters down the field, and Damien Dialendi drops the ball immediately from the return kick. But yeah, it was yeah, nothing was going well for the Springboks at this point. But that was probably the best kick for the All Blacks for the entire game, despite having so many kicks from hands. That was probably the best one. 32 minutes is again another big scrum for the Springboks. Like I guess I already talked about. It looked like the Springboks tied hair side is extreme, like binded. He's managed our Francois Herbert Money find himself really, really tight up against Bungim Bonabi, and he's really like separating Ethan de Groot a little bit from his tight end, from his hooker. So it was really giving Ethan de Groot a lot of trouble there for in the scrummaging. There was there was also a moment where Adi Savia got picked up by Eben Etzebeth, and he just like screamed. You can hear it. This was about 33 minutes or so into the game. He just like screamed like ah! He just screamed. You can hear it in the referee mic. It was actually quite. I actually chuckled a little bit. 34 minutes into the game, finally the Springboks gets their first penalty. Faf de Club hops this one through 3 points to 27. And then a few minutes later, immediately the All Blacks from the kickoff gets a penalty over their own. Extends the lead back to 17 points, 20 points to 3. Finally, just before halftime, Springboks putting a lot of phases. And then they got really close to the try line. Eben Esbeth looked like he went over the line and the ball gets shuffled back. Referee wants to check. I think the referee wants to check the grounding. The TMO says there was a neck roll in the clean out leading to this potential try or held up. That was half time. That was a penalty to the All Blacks and the situation was diffused. So yeah, the South Africans only have managed 3 points at halftime. Second half starts, 6 minutes into the second half, the Springboks brings on all of their bench, and immediately you can tell the Springboks wants to line up this timing window to try to score points, and immediately they get that on the ball. Actually, not immediately. Immediately, Faf de Klerk kicks the ball out dead from a penalty. So I was like, oh my god, this is just the thing that they needed to get the penalties from the scrum with the fresh legs. They wanted to go for the maul for the try, and then Faf kicks the ball out. But no matter. The Springboks still was able to get themselves in the front foot. RG Snyman was on the field. Huge powerhouse coming off the bench. The bomb squad, and then they get another penalty. They build more pressure, kicks the ball off a 5-minute line out and go for the maul. And this was a perfectly executed maul. The maul rolls to the left-hand side, and, just drifts slowly in field, and then immediately a sharp peel off to the blind side, runs through, and then Malcolm Marx was at the end, puts the ball down. Beautifully executed, perfect technique for the Springboks. 52 minutes in, gets their first try on the ball. 58 minutes into the game, the All Blacks gets another penalty. They will kick that 3. This was a 50-meter out kick. I think it was Richie Mo'unga gets this one. This was 50 meters, kicks this one as well. 23 points to the 10. There was some speculation Jordie Barrett probably was going to kick this one. But Jordie Barrett has been pretty bad in his kicking in Super Rugby this year. So I'm not surprised that they did not give him the option. 61 minutes into the game, this is when Cheslin Kobe somehow managed to fly. I don't know. I don't know how that's possible with a human being. But he managed to fly into the corner to score a try. The Springboks. And then I don't know what happened. The referee started cramping up. And then Matthew Renault was just screaming, I'm cramping. While Cheslin Kobe was literally flying, Renault, the referee, was cramping. But anyway, there was just just beautiful pressure. Willie le Roux, vision out wide again, being that second playmaker on the field, coming up from the 15 position, spots Kobe flat as the ice, straight down to Kobe. Kobe gets the ball in the win. Runs up, he had to jump into the corner with I think it was Bowden or maybe it was Richie Mo'unga. I tried to take him out. He literally, flew like 10 meters right into the goal area, almost landed on his head. Goes in. That was beautiful. Goes this one. 23 points to 15. The conversion misses, hits the goalpost, and then 65 minutes into the game, the All Blacks actually had a chance. The penalty chance to kick for 3. They opted to go for the try, and I thought this was really good because really having controlling the field position was really, really important. And sure enough, a few minutes later, the All Blacks converts that pressure into points. Once again, this was just you know, Beauden Barrett really showing, like, you know, why he used to be the best fly half in the world. Again, in the fullback position, he was out in the open side. He was at the 10 position, and then he decides to immediately do a switch. He runs across obviously the ruck, gets the ball at the back of the ruck, and then instead of just do your traditional passing, he immediately, he did a switch, right? And then immediately does a kick into the corner. That's something that I've never seen. I've seen, obviously this sort of like, quickly switching from open side to blind side attacking options quite often, but I don't think I've ever seen one where they switch and then immediately goes for a corner, a crossfield kick. So Beauden goes for the crossfield kick. Ball bounces perfectly for Will Jordan. Looked like he almost knocked it on, but he catches it, puts the ball down, and sure enough, yeah, Will Jordan just so unbelievably good. He didn't even, it looks so easy, just like that. Nobody was kind of expecting it, and it was, I think it was, who was it was against? I think it might have been Cheslin Kobe once again that was trying to defend this, but yeah, it was too easy for Kobe. Goes in for the third try for the All Blacks at 68 minutes, and finally, the All Blacks gets having Tamati William on the field. The All Blacks was feeling confident with the scrummaging. They get a penalty just in front of the goalpost, and then pretty much in front of the goalpost inside the 22. The scrum comes out. Richie Mo'unga sweeps to the blind side from his 10 position in the open side, and then Ardie Savea pops to him, runs Mo'unga straightens up, and then what's his name? Damien Willemse misses the tackle. Mo'unga goes in for the try, and finally the Springboks gets a try on the board just before full time. The All Blacks was trying to run the ball out. The ball kind of rolls out loose on the ruck from the ruck, and then Huaga Smith picks the ball up. Just kept the legs pumping, man. He was just. It was looking like he was pumping. It looked like he was. I don't know what it looks like. He'd be doing a lot of stair runs or something. Like, he just kept the legs pumping. There was like 3 All Blacks hanging onto him. He ran like 20 meters or something with people hanging onto him, and then ducks the ball. Drops the ball down for a try. That was very, very impressive by Albertus Smith to score this final try for the Springboks. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Really great game of rugby. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Got to go watch the Wallabies. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you guys later. Have a good day.